Sure.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one. Working hella hard until I get just what I want, yeah. Rises like the sun, yeah, fatal like a gun. Shooters gonna shoot and I'm gonna shoot until I've won, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. Grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one.
P5P All right, to start it off, look, I've done a lot of content about P5P in the past. It stands for pyridoxal 5-phosphate. It is the bioactive form of vitamin B6. It's vastly different than vitamin B6, and there is this really super long piece of literature that explains that P5P in the blood, low P5P, is a huge marker of inflammatory disease. Okay, so the less P5P you have in the serum, the more inflammation you have in this big long paper. I'll do a video about it, I guess, as a TRT add-on, and then dive deep into that paper, but I found that super fascinating. The importance or the significance of P5P in a TRT protocol in general for libido is specifically the enhancement of dopamine synthesis in the medial preoptic area of the hypothalamus. The MPOA is, you sort of think about it as like the control center for sexual function for males, and it is dopamine dependent. Okay. That MPOA area of the hypothalamus signals both the erection cascade as well as gives you desire and libido, so much so that if you antagonize the dopamine receptors in that area, you shut off libido. It's very fucking powerful. So yeah, I just wanted to start off the video by saying P5P is a very powerful add-on, especially for people with libido issues. Now, dopamine in the brain is largely the driver of libido. You've got androgen receptor activation in the brain, and you also have aromatization to estradiol in the brain, which modulates libido, is somewhat also the control center of libido. But like estrogen at different ranges fucks with that dopamine. This is what I think happens. When estrogen's very low, like it messes with the MPOA dopamine. When it's high, it increases the MPOA dopamine and facilitates libido. But when it's too high, I think there's some sort of signal impairment in the MPOA related to dopamine, right? There's always a critical place to be a good homeostatic balance in terms of, in this case, dopamine. So P5P, now the problem with P5P is that too much of it gives you side effects, particularly because it's increasing other catecholamines. So you might get anxiety from it. So you have to be really careful on how to dose it. My suggestion would be 100 milligrams in the morning and then 100 milligrams in the evening. If people are concerned about, the folklore or the fear mongering regarding, what even is it? Is this like neuropathy like symptoms these days? That's what people are raving about regarding P5P. There is a paper on that, and that is in the presence of a GABA deficiency. So don't have a GABA deficiency and you won't have problems with P5P. So just want to start it off with that. I think it's a great add-on for people that are on TRT. Let's talk about Aromasin real quick. Yeah, I brought that into my regimen on this cycle. I had no choice. My estrogen was too high and I started having dick problems. DHT gel fixed that for about 3-4 days, and then the estrogen was just too powerful of a milieu for even exogenous DHT to do anything about it. So had to get it down. What I found about Aromasin, compared to Arimidex, is that it is so much easier to dose. I mean, you have to take a lot, 50-60 milligrams, in order to crash estrogen or to get uncomfortable arthralgia, which is usually transient joint pain. And that makes it an ideal aromatase inhibitor, especially for people on high doses of testosterone where the estrogen messes with the sexual system, which it will. So, I don't really know what the dose is going to be for people. It all depends on a TRT dose. You might be looking at 6.25 once a week or twice a week. For me on a cycle was 6.25 every other day. Kind of as a loading phase, and then I had gotten it to a point where if I continued that, it would have taken it too low. So I've got a kind of maintenance it now around 6.25 twice a week is what I'm thinking. So we'll see what happens, but it's a very, very powerful drug. It is, again, you'd be hard pressed to crash estrogen using it. You're going to crash estrogen with Arimidex, no question, if you use it wrong. With Aromasin, it's a little more forgiving, and really the only the killing of the aromatase enzymes, if you will, happens within the first 24 hours. Thereafter, there's no more, binding to those enzymes irreversibly and then preventing them from doing their thing. It's just that you stay with a slightly lower estrogen state for about 4 days or so thereafter until you can, make more aromatase enzymes. But that works out really, really well for people that need a constant steady state of estradiol that doesn't drop too quick. When you change a hormone very, very quickly, it really, fucks up the balance of things, or it can if you don't have the right control in place. So just wanted to quick discuss that. Let's talk about testosterone propionate. Yeah, so confirmed that Defy Medical has discontinued testosterone propionate. I don't have a reason for them. I'm waiting for that, but I have gotten a confirmation from people there that it is officially discontinued. I think that is stupid. I don't know what rationale one would use to discontinue a very, very popular TRT ester, but it could have had to do with the influx of business that we've sent over there over the last year or something. They just can't make it anymore, or the demand is too high. I really don't know, but there are other places to get it, to include UGL. Sourceless is launching in 2 weeks, so look forward to that. And plenty of other clinics have pharmacies that also have prop. Lastly, so still running 150 milligrams testosterone enanthate. I just ran out of enanthate, so I had to pin 150 milligrams of testosterone cypionate. I'm not very happy about that, but it is what it is. I should have more this coming week. Strong as fuck in the gym, 225 bench, for 9-10 reps now, like just killing it in every single facet of weightlifting. Feel fucking great. A little bit of acne, a little bit more acne than I'm accustomed to on my shoulders has been popping up. So I've got to tend to that. I kind of just been lazy about it. Otherwise, erections, libido, great. Only in the presence of Aromasin though. And I fucking feel awesome. Okay, so let's get to questions. That is the intro. Hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. And let's talk shop. Fantastic list. Yes, I've tried rhodiola years ago, for years. Yeah, I've taken it. I mean, I was probably one of the first people to talk about rhodiola rosea on the web at length, explaining its modulation of serotonin receptors and serotonin signaling, as well as its adaptogenic properties. So I don't take it anymore because I don't have it. I don't feel a need to take it. If I were to... these days, like pregnenolone is pretty useful to give me somewhat of a similar adaptogenic state. So I think it's a great compound, just not something that I take. Kevin, good morning. Devil Dog, good morning, brother. Oh, post-finasteride syndrome, Norge. All right, so on the cycle, how do I feel? I mean, again, I have energy always on TRT as long as all the metabolite stuff is correct, and I've got the ancillaries in and they're dialed in because, I require a different HCG dose with a higher dose testosterone versus a TRT dose. So I usually always feel good. I think the difference in my energy on high doses of testosterone at 525 a week right now, 150 every other day of a long ester, is that, at 10 o'clock at night, I have the same energy that I had at 9 a.m. where I'm like fucking the most energy possible. So I really don't lose energy. My cardio is better, which kind of flies in the face of all of the warnings against high dose testosterone and cardiac health and all this stuff. Not that it has actual credence, because it doesn't. They give men that suffered heart attacks TRT and it helps them. So my cardio is substantially better if estrogen is controlled. My cardio was a little worse when estrogen was higher. Got that back down. My cardio is fucking substantially better. Otherwise, again, masculine feel at the gym. The biggest difference is like I can push more weight and it's easy. It feels lighter. I remember being at 120, 112 of enanthate, 150 of cypionate, and trying to push 225. Like tried to push 225 bench, and I fucking got 1 or 2 reps, and I was at failure. I'm at failure now at 9 reps. Okay, big fucking difference. So energy all day, masculinity is crazy. The shedding is basically under control. It's really nothing crazy here and there. And then I derma roll and then I'm good. And that's it. It just feels fucking phenomenal. I've got to look at bloods moving forward. Specifically, I've got estradiol because I'm dialing that in. Feels good at this point. But I got to look at lipids again. I've got to look at hematocrit again. Liver enzymes, and probably look at prolactin and some other stuff at some point pretty soon. But at this stage, yes, I'm going to cycle down, but I'm just not doing it yet. That's the bottom line. It's been great. It's been honestly great. I haven't had any cognitive or neurological side effects or otherwise side effects from it. But again, I am very carefully taking the right amount of DHEA, the right amount of HCG, the right amount of all the other ancillaries like tocotrienols. I mean, I'm running P5P now in my regimen. So, and I'm managing estrogen, in a way which suits my body. So no problems. Zayed, yes, it's okay to be on testosterone and antidepressant to probably help you. Multifold. Yeah, I mean, antidepressants via their serotonergic action have a facilitative role on prolactin, which is not good for sexual function at all. I mean, this is part of, I think, what causes PSSD in people. There's got to be some sort of DHT inhibition, and it might just be via a lack of gonadotropins in this case. But so having an SSRI in the mix, if you must, which you don't have to, there's other ways to go about whatever symptoms you're having that are better. But if you must or can't figure those out or don't want to experiment, then or can't, then tests will be very useful on an SSRI. Yeah, I wouldn't go on an SSRI period exclamation point ever, but if I was in some hypothetical, I would be running tests. Good morning. Look at all the emotes. Love that. Yeah, be careful of PSSD. That's another thing. I mean, I'm sure he knows, but you know, PSSD is a syndrome caused by SSRIs that mutes your sexual function for years if you don't know how to manage it, and forever if you don't know how to cure it. Kevin Stallings has a question. I'm on 180 milligrams weekly of testosterone cypionate for TRT. Like to add about 100 to 150 milligrams of prop. You see any issues with that? Never used prop before. I don't see an issue with that, but prop is going to change the dynamic significantly around metabolites. So number one, I mean, 150 of prop a week is really not bad so long as you're injecting frequently, which I assume you will be for hair loss. You're going to get some DHT peaks more than usual, so just watch out for that, but it's not going to be a lot. I had pretty minimal shedding, but noticeable shedding on 100 every day of prop. So just take that into account. But what it will do is it's going to peak your estrogen higher than what it's peaking now. So you have this baseline wherever your estrogen goes right now, call it 45 picograms per milliliter. Each time you inject prop at 150 milligrams, you're roughly running 23 milligrams a day. Yeah, it'll probably peak it to 60 or something that day, and then it's going to slowly move back down. So just be aware of that. If it starts fucking with your sexual function, then have some Aromasin or a DHT derivative on hand to handle that. Otherwise, no, I don't see a problem with it. It's all about managing what it's going to do. It's going to give you more tests, right? But some of that test is going to turn into estrogen. It's going to turn into DHT, and you might have to watch your hematocrit, etc. Again, I'm on 525 of test a week, was on 700 of prop, no hematocrit problems at all. But, I'm taking Naringin when I need to take it. I'm running miles per day and really managing that. Thumbs up, brother. All right, SNC Nutrition with a super chat. Empower makes testosterone cypionate. So here's a good question. They make a SIP prop blend. It's 160 milligrams and then 40 milligrams per milliliter. My thoughts on that are that here's the bottom line. Unless you're injecting less frequently, you really don't get enough prop to make a difference. That's my thoughts. Because look, I mean, of 200 milligrams per milliliter, I mean, if you're injecting like every other day or every day, which I really wouldn't suggest with cypionate, then I mean, what are you really getting? You're getting what, 8 milligrams of 6 milligrams, 6 times 7 is 42. You're getting 6 milligrams a day, basically, if you're running 200 a week of prop. It's just not a lot, right? You would have to pin the whole thing at once to get that 40 milligrams of prop. On TRT prop, I was running 40 milligrams a day of prop. So although I think it could be useful for a little boost each day, for those of you that recognize the power of testosterone propionate and that great energy feel, it won't be as comparable as running regular prop. I'm considering, because I don't want to go UGL forever, but I love prop. I might have to switch out of using Defy, which I hate because I love them and they have a lot of great products and I've been with them for years. But they discontinued prop like idiots. Like, it's absolutely a stupid business move. So, regardless, could work great because you might need a little bit of boosts as your testosterone levels are kind of climbing with cypionate as they do very slowly. But, a little bit of that boost of prop each day, might be very useful. Regarding P5P and dosage, I think you should take 100 milligrams in the morning and 100 milligrams in the evening. I have made the mistake twice now because I don't make the same mistakes very often, but sometimes I'm an idiot. where I've taken 200 milligrams of P5P at once in the morning, and then I felt a little nauseous, a little overstimulated, and that is via too much dopamine. So it fucking works for dopamine, but nausea comes with excess dopaminergic profile in an acute period. 100 in the morning, 100 in the evening would be my suggestion. The brand of tocotrienols, don't know off the top of my head. Maybe I can log in Amazon. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it on this. Actually, I am logged in, so give me a second to tell you where the tocotrienols are. Okay, the brand is Kropsund. Kroppssund. Sounds like a German name. Kropsund. That's the brand tocotrienols that I'm using right now. And you can get that on Amazon. It's pretty effing awesome. Brother. B Mills getting testosterone cream from a local compounding pharmacy. Good idea, or does it need to be from somewhere else? I think it's fine. Sure, it should be fine. Yeah. I mean, I don't see a case where they're not compounding it right. Yeah, it should be fine. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, my cream comes from Hollandale Pharmaceuticals or Empower. Lately, it hasn't come from Empower. I'd just gotten some cream a couple weeks back from Hollandale Pharmaceuticals. I'm not sure. Maybe there's some weird thing happening with Empower. I really don't know. But whatever the case, they need to get their shit together, brothers. All right, post-finasteride syndrome, Norge is doing 75 milligrams test every other day for TRT, slowly feeling better and better. Low-dose TRT can be forgotten. Beautiful. Yeah, that's just the case. I mean, and also if you have PFS or any sexual dysfunction, higher doses of androgens are always going to be better so long as you can control estrogen. You're just getting more at once, and it's what you need. The medical journals are very clear if you're looking for this, that androgen deprivation does a bunch of super negative things relative to penile function. First of all, you reduce androgen receptor sensitivity and density. You reduce the amount of androgen receptors. Your body then adjusts to this new homeostatic state of less androgen receptors. You have less 5-alpha reductase activity. And the more that you starve penile tissue of androgens, the more fibrotic things you have going on, the less nitric oxide production you have, and hosts of other things, theoretically an upregulation of PD5, which would serve to just clear all your blood out of your fucking dick super quick and you never get erections. So it's imperative that you be on higher doses. So good on you, and make sure you watch the estrogen. Source list will be for people in the EU as well. Yeah, you'll be able to get a good degree of those things in the EU, all subject to the limitations of your country though. You know, if you wherever you are, if your country has limitations on certain shit, you know, you might have an issue, but that's your country. Otherwise though, I mean, the States has some pretty stringent measures or pretty stringent laws around this kind of stuff, but still I'm able to get whatever I want. Not a whole lot of experience on this. I personally haven't seen it to be like some significant problem personally, like among people that have genetic work that shows that they undermethylate or overmethylate. It's never really been consequential. Why did I favor microdose Aromasin or Arimidex for cycle now? For me personally, I think I just favor Aromasin over Arimidex because you're less likely to have disturbances in hormone homeostasis because it moves slowly. Yeah, and if you go too low, you can just inject 70 milligrams of prop for 2 days and you'll be right back where you need to be. You know, it doesn't kill all the enzymes. You still have aromatase enzymes. It just targets some of them, as many as it can. You're constantly producing more. So whereas if I took even on cycle like 0.25 milligrams of Arimidex, I would feel low estrogen state for like 2 days and it'd probably fuck with my libido. Whereas a pretty high dose of Aromasin doesn't do that because it's just slower. And I like it that way. You would want to have it that way. Jordan G Unit with the big $10 super chat. Appreciate it, brother. Says just got some Proviron on the way. Any impact input on the first dose to run? 160 of test, running Cypionate, 1000 IU/HCG, 75 milligrams Deca, 25 or more, slightly more of Anavar. Will halt Anavar before Proviron. Okay. I mean, look, I think that Deca is going to contribute to an estrogenic state. The 160 is SIP to an extent. If I were you, I guess it depends. I mean, do you normally need a good degree of estrogen control, even on TRT doses? If you do, I'd start with 25 a day, 25 milligrams per viron a day, a hair. If you don't, I start with 12.5 milligrams a day. And if you have to move it up, adding 12.5 in the evening for 25 a day, but split up. You know, if that doesn't end up doing it for you in terms of estrogen control and erections and stuff, then just go for a full 25 milligrams a day. I've also seen really weird shit with Proviron that like a daily dose of Proviron doesn't do it for getting the, you know, the test estrogen DHT ratio in the right place for sexual function. But, you know, 2 days in a row of 25 milligrams on a Saturday, 25 milligrams on a Sunday with whatever TRT regimen, and then not taking it for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then guy has perfect erections and libido Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then it starts getting fucked up, at which point he's got to do 25 and 25 for 2 days in a row and then lay off of it again. So, you know, as much as we want like these protocols that look good on paper, sometimes you got to do weird shit. So just be mindful of that. Appreciate the super chat, brother. Asher Caulfield is planning on going on SSRI soon. How do I avoid getting PSSD? You don't. There's no way to avoid getting PSSD on an SSRI if it's going to happen to you, which is why you should not take it. Whatever logic you have to take it, that logic can be superseded with other logic. And whatever you're trying to take it for can be addressed with other compounds. You're going to need to get resourceful. If it were me, I wouldn't take it. If I were giving you advice in a consulting manner, I would tell you don't take it. If you were a client of mine that said you were going to take it, I would say I would stop working with you the moment you did. Yes, I've used fenugreek back in the day, help with libido to an extent. Yeah, he's got the right answer. Yeah, well, yeah, you got, there's other things you should do to do this, not least to fix this, not least, which is start running some 9-MEBC. Can't give you a consult over air. If you need to book me, do so at livecortex.com if you have the budget. We can put together a protocol that's much better than taking an SSRI. Nick, can you take calcium glucarate daily? And does it affect testosterone too? Well, it affects anything that gets glucuronidated, so yes, but it's very transient and minor. So it's probably going to do is lower your serum by 200 to 300 nanograms per deciliter for 2 hours, 3 hours, you know, like right after you take it, it acts immediately. So right after you take it, you might have a drop in testosterone, but if you're running a long ester, the depot is going to be releasing more androgens and your levels will come right back up. So it really is always inconsequential on blood work. Same thing with estradiol. It's a transient reduction in estrogen, which comes right back, which is why people take it daily. So the answer is yes, and yes, but not significantly. Yeah, well, if you have if you're in this state of like panic and you've tried a whole lot and you're like, I just need to do something, this is the kind of state that people are in when they fucking take finasteride and they ruin their dick for 5 years. So you can be in that panic state all you want. And go ahead and ruin your dick and your libido. You'll be numb. You'll have some lack of sensation. You'll have no libido. You'll be in a much worse state mentally if you do that. So don't be rushed to fucking take an SSRI, man. I'm the guy that has worked with PSSD people for a fucking decade. Okay, stop whatever line of thinking you're at right now that makes you, oh, I need to take an SSRI. It's a fucking bad idea. Nico Void, could DHT gel be the solution for no sensation on the penis on TRT and HCG? The solution for this is getting your estrogen in range, maybe adding some dopamine precursors like P5P into your regimen. Yeah, estrogen below range, you know, below your sweet spot causes sensation problems. Above your sweet spot causes sensation problems. Prolactin above 20 nanograms per milliliter consistently causes sensation problems. Being starved of androgens for a while causes sensation problems via causing just general blood flow problems in the penis. Thank you, Dara. So DHT isn't necessarily a solution. It will help. It will help. Rubbing it on the shaft and the testicles, I believe that's effective. I've experimented with that. When I rub it on the testicles, it makes my, climax, it makes the ejaculate volume substantially more. Just from doing that, but exclusively on the shaft, it does to an extent, but not the extent that it does when rubbing it on the testicles. So, again, DHT has a strong interplay in facilitating function of the seminal vesicles, which is where you're producing the actual liquid for your ejaculate. So, it's very good for that. But again, I mean, you could have I just explained this, and it applies to PSSD people as well. high androgens, high testosterone, high DHT, HCG, DHEA, pregnenolone. Even though in that case, if you have exogenous DHT, if your estrogen's above range, you're going to have dick problems, or above, your Goldilocks zone, you're going to have problems. So you need to, that estrogen not in this conversation is your first oversight. Hams is 21 years old, went to a doctor for a hormone panel. Test was 380, free test was 8.1. FSH and LHH were tanked. Everything else normal. Doctor ordered an MRI. Well, maybe he thinks you have an adenoma, pituitary adenoma. Oh, they found a 3 millimeter microadenoma on my pituitary. Hopefully I can figure out all these symptoms. Yeah, you're going to need to start taking cabergoline right away. They're probably going to prescribe it to you to get both the prolactin levels down and to involute the lactotropes that are causing this to happen. Those are the pituitary secreting cells and the prolactin secreting cells in the pituitary gland. So once they give you CAB and you start taking it, they'll put you on 0.25 or 0.5 a week. Split up into two doses. You probably have a little bit of side effects initially, maybe some tiredness, but that goes away. Otherwise, no side effects. You probably feel better, more dopaminergic. That level, I don't know what your level of prolactin is right now, but it's going to go down very quickly. A microadenoma is a lot less troublesome than a macroadenoma. You don't want a macroadenoma. That's where you start to have vision problems and fucking it takes forever to get the prolactin in range. People start looking at surgery, which is a bad idea in that case. But I think don't worry about it. It's not common, but it does happen. I've had 2 clients with pituitary adenomas, and they are a thing. It's hard to say what causes them. You could feed rats estrogen, and they fucking grow them. They grow prolactinomas, literally. So there's that. But that's almost definitely the issue, right? Look at your prolactin. I'm surprised you haven't already. If you have, I guess I apologize. I'm sure you have the number if you have it, but it's almost definitely elevated, and that's the basis for all your problems. And you get that down, you don't even have to go on TRT in this case. You get that prolactin down with cabergoline, your testosterone is going to come back. You're 21. I wouldn't go on TRT yet. Dara Matthews is on 160 milligrams test C per week on test prop. Oh, on test C, going on test prop in 20 milligrams per bar. How should I start the prop? Start with 20 milligrams a day. That'd be 140 a week. With Proviron, I would run that only if you need estrogen control, or if your SHBG is too high and you would like to lower it to get better sexual function and more free testosterone. And if you absolutely need the Proviron for estrogen management and just some enhancement in the utilization of androgens, then, start with that 20 milligrams every other day. That'd be my suggestion. Nick is saying that balancing estrogen is literally the hardest thing to do. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that it's difficult, right? Because 2 low problems, 2 high problems. What you must find is the right dose and frequency of your DHT derivative or your AI. That's all. It should be made simpler than this. Just find the right dose of one compound. You keep your test the same, you keep everything else the same, just find the right dose of one compound. And that might take you 2 months. It might take you 60 days because, you're going to have to run, 60 milligrams Primobolan split up into 2 30 milligram injections. See how you fare for that week. Test estrogen. Then if you have to make an adjustment, maybe you make an adjustment upward because you over aromatize. So you're running 90 milligrams Primo a week. See how you fare for that week. Run estrogen. Yes. Is this cumbersome? Yep. Is it expensive? Yep. Is it necessary to dial in? Yep. Will you have to change from that? Because Primo, you can't, dial it in, or there's some side effect or whatever. Yeah, like hair loss. Maybe. Well, then it's 6.25 Aromasin once a week. See how you feel. Run estrogen labs. This might take you 2 months. It might take you 4. It is worth it because you're going to be doing this for a long time after you dial that in. So take the time to do it, and then you'll be dialed in. I'm basically doing that now. I think I found it at least on Cycle. I had to load some Aromasin to get that estrogen down from 91. which I did. I just recently got labs on it, so we'll see where that ends up going. But then I can tell it was going too low, so I had to scale back and do slightly less of a dose of Aromasin and a different frequency to maintenancing. So that process, for me, it takes about 3-4 weeks if I have completely changed my protocol to dial in an AI dose. Sometimes I can do it in 2. Sometimes it takes the whole 4. High ferritin, according to my GI doctor, giving blood won't help. Giving blood will help. This is not causing your sexual dysfunction either. No. Ghost Fusion. Hey Ryan, I have a Baltic friend who pops 20 milligram snus pouches like Tic Tacs. It's a common in their culture. What do you think the long-term effects of that much nicotine would be? Well, it's less than a person who smokes a pack of cigarettes a day, which is like, I don't know, an estimated 25-30% of the United States, and other countries probably more. Like the French smoke a lot. I remember when I was in Iraq, the fucking Iraqis smoked a lot, dude, a lot. I smoked back then. I smoked their shitty cigarettes. They were called Miami cigarettes. They're terrible. But the average smoker smokes or consumes way more than that. So I really wouldn't find it to be an issue. In this case, it's probably a little more bioavailable, kind of thing. But look, okay, so 20 milligrams multiple times a day. Well, that's a lot of nicotine. Long-term effects would be a lot of cholinergic receptor agonism, probably some good brain function. So as long as the person can tolerate it, but vasoconstriction would be the only negative thing that I'd be looking out for in that much nicotine. Dara Matthews, SHB is low, like 18, E2 is 62. Should I not use the Proviron? Yeah, I would still use the Proviron. I mean, you have 2 options. Use the Proviron. The SHBG might go down a little further, but I don't think that's going to be consequential, but it will take your estrogen down, which will help you. Or you don't take the Proviron because you don't want to budge your SHBG if you think that's a reasonable place for it to be, which 18 is good, and take Aromasin instead. Jeff Poole, how would you dose Aromasin on 46 milligrams testosterone cypionate every other day? 500 IU HCG 2 times a week. I've been using Arimidex for a long time and just switched to Aromasin. Thanks. I don't know how long, you should respond with, you should include like how you aromatize normally. Like if you and what your dose of Arimidex is. How can I answer that without knowing how much you aromatize, where estrogen goes, and what your dose of Arimidex is? You guys got to think before you ask these questions. You're asking too much simple questions as if I know these details. It also shows the prowess of my consulting capacity. I need to fact find in order to answer that question. But I mean, if you're taking 0.25 of Arimidex once a week, you want to run 12.5 milligrams of Aromasin, between 6.25 and 12.5 once a week, just to see where you fare. Move up if you need to moving forward, but run labs on estradiol to see where you're at. I think when I was running Rhodiola, it was about 300 milligrams. SNC Nutrition, top supplements to take if hematocrit is too high, HDL too low, prolactin too high. With prolactin, you could start with P5P at 200 milligrams a day, 100 in the morning, 100 in the evening, and that will likely lower it. I mean, that is in the literature suggested as an add-on to cabergoline therapy for prolactinomas. So it obviously does work in lowering prolactin. If you added like 400 IU vitamin E every day in a gel tab form, that would also help bring that prolactin down. Hematocrit being too high, you would want to start dosing between 300 and 700 milligrams of naringin powder, NARINGIN powder every day, until tolerance, until like drug interaction tolerance, because naringin is really the chemical that prolongs the active life of drugs in your system when you eat grapefruits. So if you have some sort of intolerance with like tadalafil as an example, and it lowers your blood pressure too much because there's naringin extending its life, it essentially doubles the amount in your blood. So if you took 5 milligrams, it's like taking 10, kind of thing. So if you run into problems with that, then scale the dose of naringin down. Relative to HDL, the best lipid modifying drug I think anyone could take is cardiovascular exercise, specifically jogging. because you don't get the same type of cardiac output when you're doing the elliptical, etc. You want to actually run. Otherwise, look into taking either or both tocotrienols, which are pretty positive for favorable outcome on lipids, and a compound that no one talks about, but which is very lipid helpful, called D-limonene. Limonene, I believe it is. That'd be my suggestion. Number one nootropic for waking me the F up, modafinil, hands down. Yeah. Secondarily would be torque. Yeah. This right here will wake you up in a matter of 20 minutes and you'll be revving on all engines for like 6 hours, maybe even more. I built it myself. Okay. And this was my stack that I was using myself. I'm like, I didn't even think about sharing it with the world. And then I was like, this is a great stack. It needs to be a pre-made stack. So just buy Torque. Right now it's buy one, get one free too, which is an incredible deal. And the code is in the description of this video. That'd be my suggestion. Otherwise, if you've taken modafinil before and you respond well to it, then modafinil is the answer to that. But I mean, you have a lot of other singular compounds that are effective. Teacrine in and of itself, 200 milligrams, effective. Alcar at 1,000 milligrams, effective. Mecunopurines at 500 to 1,000 milligrams, effective. P5P at 100 milligrams, effective, or 100 twice a day, effective at that. 50 to 100 milligrams theobromine, effective at that. These are just singular compounds that, will turn the brain on. Nico Voigt is asking if I've noticed a difference between Proviron and Andrectum. Yes, it is not the same. Proviron, more of a confident masculine feel. The DHT effect of actual DHT is subtle in that regard. I don't. Proviron is not exclusively DHT. It's more, it's almost like testosterone and DHT combined, if that makes sense, because of how it binds to the androgen receptor. It's got a more potent agonism of the AR, but it's, again, people use it for testosterone replacement as well. They both have similar effects on seminal vesicles and ejaculate volume and climax sensation. Proviron, however, lowers estrogen and DHT doesn't. DHT will mildly block its expression post-receptor binding, which is useful, but you're still going to have the same amount of serum. Like DHT isn't going to really lower the estrogen like Proviron will. So it's actually a big fucking difference. It's a big difference. With DHT, I felt a little overstimmed the first day. I had a headache on day one, actually. And I'm like, fuck, here we go. And then that just went away and then I felt fine. Otherwise, I don't feel it. Like, I don't feel the DHT gel. I'm still rubbing it on. I just got another tube of this Andrectum stuff and used it this morning. I use it every day, but I don't feel it. I don't feel any different. It's just I function differently, right? Erections are harder when my estrogen's in range. They're harder. Climax sensation is better. Ejaculate volume is better. It's just more. It's crazy. Running is going incredible. It's just going great. If you follow my, and I don't talk about this stuff, but I have a Facebook, it's on a page, it's just my profile, Ryan Michael Ballo. I post me running there every day, like every day that I run, or every other day or whatever, a couple times a week. I post like, reels of me running with fucking music and just like cool reels, like chopped up, or me giving advice on running and shit. Yeah. Like I love it. I love it. Here's the funny thing though, which I recently kind of gave advice on. I've been running on and off for 20 years on and off for 20 years, about 15 years straight running. And it's not gotten any easier to start. Okay. It's not easier to start. I still try to talk myself out of it and fail. I fail. So I go run because of guilt, and that's just it, and other reasons. But it doesn't get easier to start. It gets easier when you're in the groove of the run, when you're in it. After about a mile, then I'm good. The first mile always sucks. I'm just like, fuck, this sucks. My body's not ready for this shit. And then I slow it down. I get my breath. It becomes very streamlined. I relax. I stop thinking about whether, it's uncomfortable for my body or it's hurting my lower back or whatever. And all that just goes away. And then I'm good to go. Yesterday, I was on a run on the south side of Pittsburgh, this path that crosses under two of the major bridges, and then you can cross one of the bridges to go right into the city. And this group of two women and a male, older male, probably about 50, 55. You can tell he was a runner, just strictly a runner, not a weightlifter, because he had a weird looking fucking physique, or runner physique, which is kind of skinny fat or just skinny. And they passed me. Now, I had just started running, so my pace in the beginning is probably 9:50, 10-minute pace per mile, just starting, and then I pick it up as I'm warmed up. They passed me, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to let these motherfuckers pass me. You know, I said hi to them on the way, kind of just a runner's thing. They passed me, and then once we got to the Smithfield Bridge, which crosses into the city in Pittsburgh, I fucking bolted by them motherfuckers and was like, see you later, slow pokes. See you later, granny. It was fucking awesome. But yeah, running is awesome, man. I mean, dude, again, it's like a lipid management medicine. It really is. I'm doing it because I like how I feel. I've run my whole adult life, starting from just before the Army, prepping for the Army PT test. And it keeps me healthy. It keeps my heart healthy. It keeps my blood pressure very good, low. Keeps my cognition really great. And, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Yeah, my worst nightmare would be some situation which I couldn't run. All right, Chris, prolactin is constantly over the top end of the reference range, even with estrogen management. Same dose of P5P is what I'd recommend. 100 milligrams in the morning, 100 milligrams in the evening. Yeah. And that should take it down to 13 or so. And then you just kind of maintenance it there. The other compound that you might want to add, which has research behind it, is called Schisandra. It's SCHA or SCHANDRA? Schisandra? Or two S's in the middle? Yeah, you'll Google it and find it. About 1,000 milligrams a day, maybe 2,000 milligrams a day on top of the P5P. Devil Dog, did your resting heart rate go up when you went on a higher test cycle? I've noticed 10 beats per minute average increase on 600 milligrams per week. Here's the really weird thing about me. Again, I don't know if this is because of running or because of my diet. I don't drink. If you have no things, literally nothing, that contributes to an elevated resting heart rate, and you also do things to control blood pressure and control heart rate, or to help cardiac function, like cardiovascular workouts, testosterone really doesn't fucking move the needle, right? It really shouldn't move the needle all that much. If your cardiovascular system is maybe perhaps not unhealthy, but not very healthy, well then yeah, your resting heart rate's going to go up. Mine's at 60. I mean, 55 to 60 at nighttime, 50. Bradycardia, which is below 52, is a common side effect, which is not clinically significant or consequential in runners. So, there's that. But yeah, on 520, even on 700, I didn't have an elevated heart rate. Maybe 5 beats per minute. I mean, nothing major. It's always the same for me. Yeah, I almost think if I went back down to TRT, it'd be lower. But I don't know. Where are we? Equivalent dose of 25 milligrams per virin with the actual DHT. That's a hard one. I think you'd be looking at if 250 milligrams of Provirin, the equivalent dose of standalone would be 80 milligrams, according to ChatGPT. So however you want to try to scale that, but what would be more efficient for you to do is just ask ChatGPT that question. Yeah. Because I can't give you an answer there. Ghost Fusion, curious why you make the distinction between the elliptical and running. Is the difference lymphatic activation or something more physiologic? I think it's just a more cardiac output. I think you're pumping more blood through your body with actual running versus the elliptical. And with the elliptical, you're doing this motion where you're grabbing a thing on both ends and your legs are moving against a force. It's almost like you're on an uphill thing. Running, you're going to be more out of breath. You're hitting the pavement. You're moving your legs more. You are you're outputting more exercise when you run versus the elliptical. Also, though, aside from the scientific stuff, go use the elliptical and then go on a fucking run. Do the elliptical for 20 minutes and then do a run for 20 minutes. You tell me which makes you more out of breath and like you've done more work. It'll be the run every time. So that's it. Dara Matthews, can I pin 140 milligrams prop every other day instead of daily? Should I take Proviron daily? And besides, I'm rolling around me. Okay, you're asking too many questions at once, man. Super chat that. All right, this isn't a charity. You guys loading these questions with a whole bunch of questions. You know, you guys will go and on Vigorous Steve's podcast and super chat it up, but you know, you don't think you need to here. Super chat your fucking questions if you want something, you know, detailed. Like, first of all, prop every other day. You mean 140 every other day or 140 a week? Split up into every other day injections. I mean, come on, guys. Don't be lazy. All right. So again, as I was discussing in the beginning, P5P is a pretty good add-on to TRT. I think that, like, again, the libido center of the brain is the MPOA of the hypothalamus, the medial preoptic area. And adding just a little bit more dopamine synthesis that targets that area, which P5P does, that's the, you know, you're optimizing the area that signals the erection and libido cascades. So 100 milligrams in the morning, 100 milligrams in the evening would be a good starter dose of P5P on top of TRT, right? But, you know, make sure all the other things are right, like HCG, DHEA, pregnenolone, high enough test dose, estrogen control specifically. And if you still need a libido boost on top of that, take some P5P because it you know, you might need a little bit more dopamine. That's it. You know, people forget about that. You'll often see that people have like libido problems on androgens and then they'll take Wellbutrin, which is like kind of like a, you know, it's like a dopamine facilitator, if you will. And then they have raging libido. I know a woman who she's just like, well, she's effectively a sexual partner, right? She lives in Ohio. But a great friend of mine as well. She takes Wellbutrin and her libido as a 45-year-old woman is off the charts all the time. And she's not on hormone therapy or anything. She's not like running testosterone. So there's that. So dopamine, you know, is a pretty significant driver of that. So that's why I've discussed, you know, P5P at length before and why I'm suggesting some people might want to add it into their protocol. Is jump roping a good option? Well, I think jump roping is more along the lines of HIIT. Like, yeah, you would be doing some pretty intense exercise for however long you do it. I think high intensity interval training is also really good because, again, the whole point of like cardio and running specifically is you get more of a dramatic impact on the cardiovascular system in terms of lipid lowering and heart health because you're using it more. When you do hits, like you find a field somewhere and you run back and forth, you run 20 to 30 seconds, but you book it. You're just doing a high intensity 30 seconds. Man, you are fucking out of breath, dude. I was doing HIIT like 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago now. When I moved to Pittsburgh, I was doing HIIT in this field on the north side. And it was great because I was out of breath and I felt great. And I didn't have to, like, runs are different because they're longer, you know, and it takes time. It takes more time, really, you know. Whereas HIIT, you park somewhere, you find a field, you find a stretch, and you just run, and then you take a break. You know, you recover, then you run super fast, you take a break. And, you know, you get quantifiably more fat burning there. You get a lot of fat burning doing high intensity interval training. And again, you're doing this thing where you're pushing the cardiac muscle and blood flow and blood pressure optimization more so, I think, than, you know, any other kind of cardiovascular exercise. You know, there's levels of intensity with cardio. You know, there's like walking, which is helpful, but won't do you nearly as good as running. Then there's like the elliptical, which is even better than walking, but won't do you as good as running. And then there's running, like slow, steady state jog, which is fucking great for everything. I think that's really the best place to be. And then probably second best would be HIIT. Yeah, HIIT is just fucking powerful. Again, secondly, Aromasin. Yeah, I haven't used it a lot until this cycle. And it's estrogen is always the mediator of erections on TRT if it's dialed in. Too high and erections are achievable, but they go down quicker. It might be harder to climax. Estrogen just has it. I don't think that's a prolactogenic thing. It's hard to say. Probably dopaminergic issue in the MPOA of the brain. But too low, same. I think you have some dopaminergic problems there as well. So look, I'm on high test, and that just pushed my estrogen higher than I think I've ever had it in my life. I didn't have any other side effects other than sexual side effects. I got over my estrogen side effects in the beginning of TRT, where I was bloated and I had nipple sensitivity and I had mood disorders and all this kind of shit with extra estrogen. Now, 91 estrogen, I have no side effects other than dick problems. So that's a side effect, but I don't have any negative feels. But the Aromasin, again, I mean, I'm just back to rock hard erections where I need to be. And it's just such a great, easy drug to use without the risk, if you're careful enough, of crashing estrogen to where it's irreversibly fucked up for, even 3-4 days is miserable. Like with Arimidex, you can do that very, very quickly. God forbid people use letrozole. I know people on cycle, though, that use letrozole. I'm working with a couple people that's all they want to take, and that's all they really do well with. These guys are super aromatizers on pretty high doses of testosterone. I mean, I've got guys on my client list running 2 grams and shit of test per week. So out of this world, brother. Yeah, again, the prop update, Empower has discontinued testosterone propionate. No idea why. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's stupid. And like, I can use UGL for prop when I like using prop, but it's always better to have a clinic. So it's actually making me want to consider switching clinics from Defy, who I've been with for years and I like a lot, because they have a lot of products. I know everybody there. I've got a good thing going on with them, but I mean, how many other people have moved to Defy and use prop? So many. I've got clients alone, right? In addition to the YouTube comments of people that did that. So how can they just discontinue it? They didn't even tell anybody, by the way. Their answer is just, just use the SIP prop blend. It's not the same fucking thing at all. Yeah, I mean, it is Empower. It ultimately is. It's just a weird thing that they did here. All right, boys, if you got questions, ask them. Let's get this super chat. And if you got complex questions, super chat them. Again, this isn't a charity. You guys super chat on Vigorous Steve's channel like crazy. But somehow you think that this is all just free questions. I mean, I'll answer them if they're free, but support the channel, brothers. Let's go. Last topic, again, initially discussed in the beginning, was the cycle. I don't want to get off of it, to be honest. Like, I know I eventually will need to go on a lower dose of testosterone, which, is going to be either high dose cream, like 6 pumps a day, which is super anabolic and peaks your fucking levels very crazily. Or like just, I don't know, 100 every other day of Anathate, which would be like 350 a week. And that's like reasonable. That to me, like, what I want to try to do is dose at least 300 for TRT. Yeah, just because I know personally how much better I respond to higher androgens and managed estrogen than like lower androgens, but still having to slightly manage estrogen. It's just like, if you're gonna have to manage estrogen either way, just have high androgens, have the benefit of high androgens. So yeah, I believe I'll stay at 300. I don't know. Right now, I don't see a reason to go down. Maybe when I do bloods and if lipids are deranged anyway or trending in a negative direction, which I don't think they will be, but if they are, then that'll be the reason to go down. Like, I don't want to fuck with my health at all. If I don't see this happening, but if like erection function becomes difficult to manage, which Aromasin takes care of for me, then maybe, but I don't know. I might be one of those guys that like in 2 years goes, I've been running a 0.5 gram a test a week for 2 years. Just one of those people that is an example of what you can do, what you can get away with healthfully. I also thoroughly enjoy the anabolism. I've never been personally a substantial responder. There's guys that can take 90 milligrams of test a week and they shoot up to 1500. I'm not one of those guys. On 200 milligrams a week, I'm at 1150. So barely super physiologic on 200 a week. So for me, really, I could go up to 300 and it's still TRT based on how my blood responds to, testosterone. Yeah. Now prop is a different story though. Prop, I'm peaking very high even on regular TRT doses. I'm peaking fucking high as shit. On 100 milligrams a day, I had to have been around 6,000, but at trough, I was at 4,000. Think about that. 4,000 nanograms per deciliter trough. That's out of this world. Dosage on rhodiola, I believe I answered that. That was 300 milligrams. Let's see if I can go back and expand upon any of this stuff. Yes, prolactin can cause ED. It causes it via an inhibition of blood flow at the base of the penis. So, and that mechanism is independent of the inhibition of luteinizing hormone. So prolactin will inhibit luteinizing hormone, right? Secretion. So you pump out a lot less of it, and the testicles will be like starved of testosterone because you have no instruction and raw substrate for them to make testosterone. But at the same time, independent of testosterone, prolactin shuts down blood flow at the penis, and I think it interferes with the hypothalamic control of dopamine, which it's almost like you're muting the starting point of the erection and the libido at the desire cascades with prolactin. It's a heinous, insidious hormone, prolactin, for men. For women, cool. When they're lactating, when they're pregnant, it rises. It does so for a reason. For guys, you have no use for elevated prolactin. No use for it at all. It only wreaks havoc on the sexual system, and you just don't want it. You just don't want it. So yeah, please take some P5P. If worst comes to worst, get on some cabergoline. I don't know how high your levels are if you're the guy that had the adenoma, but you have below normal prolactin. Oh, okay. I read this completely wrong. Below normal prolactin is, there's no disease associated with that. I don't know why you want to raise it. I wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't touch it. I've studied this and been through this and worked with people with prolactin on both levels of the range. Had prolactin at 1.9 nanograms per milliliter myself. That is not something you have to touch at all. If you're having libido issues, it's not contributing. That's a myth. It's people repeating bullshit. And low prolactin is associated with zero diseases. Zero diseases. All right, Darren Matthews, can I pin 140 milligrams prop a week every other day instead of daily? And besides dermal rolling and vitamin E, what else can I do to preserve my hair? Nothing on the hair. Look, there's this stuff called PTT6. What is it called? Hold on. PTT6 hair. It's like serum. What is it? I'm going to find this here. Yeah, PTT6, Papa Tango 6. That's a hair growth serum that apparently has to do with like stem cells and like otherwise growth factors that, as far as I can tell, doesn't inhibit DHT, but I don't know, right? Because GHKCU looked like it didn't inhibit DHT for the longest, and it does. So, that's something. I don't know if this stuff does, but you might want to look into that. PTT6 is what you would want to look at. Yeah, that's the only thing though. You might. It's just like with androgens, I've got a client, right, who has PFS, and we're getting him on a protocol, but he's worried about hair loss right away. It's like, dude, if you've got the genetic predisposition to lose hair and it made you get on finasteride, which ruined your sexual function, and you're sitting here focused on hair loss, like, forget it. That kind of thinking is what got you problematic to begin with. For this though, you want to do everything you can to prevent it. If it's going to happen, if you're susceptible to it, if you don't have good hair genes, in other words, you want to do everything you can to prevent it. But, and these things are good options to do it. But if you aren't going to be able to prevent it, you really do ultimately have a choice when it comes to 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. And that's, do I want my dick or do I want my hair? And I can tell you, having worked with these guys, you're going to want your dick, and you'll just ultimately, end up being you could end up being like a great looking, stylish, bald dude. I would not want it to happen to me. So I understand that I'm speaking from the perspective of good hair genes, but I know the choice I would make in that case. And it would be to shave my head, have a crew cut, or get a hair transplant, right? Get a hair transplant, which you can do them for $3,000 or $5,000. It looks like these days. and, you know, not have dick problems. Not have dick problems. All right, boys, if you got questions, chat them up. If there's no more questions, I don't know what to do on the stream, I guess. But yeah, I mean, there's just not many other options, Dara, you know, in this point that aren't 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. And that's the problem. You know, that's the problem. Also, though, like on TRT, you can modulate your protocol in a way which doesn't give you massive peaks of DHT, but gives you more steady levels of DHT, which is also good. In that case, you'd really want to use a long ester, you know, N-theta cypionate in that case. If you're on a prop cycle, like if you're on a lot of prop, then, and even 200, if you're susceptible, then you're going to lose hair quicker if you're susceptible. Because prop goes like this, and that's going to do a lot of converting to DHT. And then, you know, you're going to have, that's going to ultimately, activate all the ARs in your scalp, right? It's going to thin the subcutaneous fat tissue in your scalp, which is what causes hair loss. Matt Cap, what's up, bro? Hope you're well. Does HCG, Proviron, and Clomo give chronic headache? No, I'm not. I mean, it might be giving you a chronic headache, but those things don't do that. Again, you guys got to think about your questions. Like, these things wouldn't be prescribed if they gave headaches. What is happening in your case is difficult. You have enclomiphene, which is blocking estrogen receptors, which in and of itself can cause you to have headaches. Because estrogen is the only hormone, I suppose testosterone might be somewhere in the literature as contributing or whatever, modifying blood flow in the brain related to headaches. But estrogen is the main hormone associated with headaches, specifically tension type headaches. So if you're blocking estrogen receptors, that's probably why you have this problem. Yeah. Also, though, any radical fluctuations in hormones, it can cause headaches. Again, when I started taking the DHT gel, day one, I had a headache. I had an actual headache. I'm like, fuck, really? You know, I was so excited, and I'm like, it gives me a headache? What the fuck? But that went away. And this day 2, day 3, everything was fine. I didn't have a headache after that. So, no, it doesn't. You just got to find out why. And if you're blocking estrogen receptors, that's probably why. Could be the flu shot as well. Could be, man. Yeah. Look, I don't want to get, I'd love to get controversial. But I don't want Big Brother to fuck with our channel, but I don't do any of that. You know, I don't do any of that there. I don't do any of it since the military. The military, I had more shots than anyone can ever imagine, including anthrax. After that, though, because I got sick as fuck from all that. After that, though, nothing. I haven't touched in, one of these, or any of the type in, I don't know, almost 2 decades. And I won't. And I'm healthy as a horse. Jordy's got low SHBG and aromatized a lot using daily prop on a cycle at the moment with Master Runner Primo also. Okay. Awesome. Is there a question there? Simon Stone, do you work with people who have post-Accutane syndrome? Yes. Do you notice any obvious difference between that and PFS? Not a whole lot. No, it's really the same thing. It's just it's a neuroendocrine, largely emphasis on endocrine, but we try to affect the neurology side through affecting the endocrine side, because that's really what you do. If you need to supplement with things that affect the neurology side too, you should. But ultimately, I see all of these things as sexual dysfunction. And that's the way that I've been able to make progress in helping people get better. And this is why I think other coaches or even the communities themselves are stagnated a little bit, because they look at it so individually, like it's this post-finasteride specific syndrome, which complicates in their mind the treatment further and makes them think it's like strictly neurotransmitters or strictly hormones or whatever. Like, I just see it as sexual dysfunction, which is not easy to cure, but it just, you approach it the same way. How does the sexual, rather than looking at this as a syndrome, how does the sexual system work well? What can you give the body to make the sexual system work well? That's all. Like, that's how you should approach it. So the differences between these people, I think there's more anhedonia with PSSD. So there's more of a blunted, emotionless state with PSSD than there is PFS. but people still have that. And then on the PFS side, there's more anxiety than on the PSSD side. Yeah. Ramiel, good morning. Good morning, Ryan. I did what you suggested about reducing estrogen with DHEA, calcium glucarate, and zinc. I was at 74 estradiol. Felt much better. What is a good estrogen level? For 1238, I don't know the answer to that, but 25 to 45 would be my suggestion based on aggregating a bunch of client data and looking at the patterns of what works best for people. Yeah, 25 to 45. And I don't know what determines how someone is better at 25 versus 45. Probably the distribution of estrogen at the tissue level, which is a variable between people. Yeah. Devil Dog, what was your starting dose of TRT? And how long did it take to get past the estrogen sides? This is a great question. Starting dose was 210 a week. I was injecting 30 milligrams every day sub-Q, which I would say it was meh for sexual function. I could perform, but it wasn't great. I then learned to do all manner of other things and optimize the fuck out of that system on androgens. It took me about 6 months to get over the estrogen sides. Like I had ultra moon face. I was bloated as fuck, dude. And I looked terrible. I look back at my images now, like of me, and I looked fucking utterly terrible. Just, I was dating I dated a super hot girl at the time. I don't know how the fuck she found me attractive because I looked like shit. And I kind of felt like shit too. I just felt bloated and fucked up. The thing that was like, probably the biggest facilitator of the change in my response to that was the cessation of alcohol. Yeah, it was the cessation of alcohol because I didn't have this substrate that was constantly, on top of TRT aromatizing to estrogen, making more aromatization, be upregulating aromatase expression, which is what alcohol does. So the removal of alcohol was the significant, although even if I kept drinking, I probably still would eventually, like everybody does, not have like super bloat, on testosterone. Eventually you just get to the point where it goes away. And I can't really explain why that happens. Also though, esters are different in this regard. Cypionate is the most bloat facilitating ester there is. Yeah, I mean, probably the super longer esters would bloat more, but cypionate is, if you want to look lean and not bloated, cypionate's not your friend. It would be my position on that. Oh, I just lost my light. Hold on, guys. We have lost lighting. Yeah, cypionate is not your friend. Interestingly, even though testosterone enanthate and testosterone cypionate have a similar half-life and they're kind of similar, they are different. And enanthate is much better. Like, I don't really look bloated running 525 a week of enanthate. I think if I was running 525 a week of cypionate, I'd look a little more bloated. But I don't have that now. And again, I'm controlling estrogen. I'm doing cardio. There's, I think, a lot of things. So that's effectively it, bro. But 6 months and dropping alcohol had a huge influence on that. Steve, wonderful. I noticed Defy has several testosterone blends, Cip-Prop and enanthate. Ryan, what is your best option on this? Or my opinion? I mean, the Cip-Prop blend might work because you get a little bit of a peak of testosterone while you slowly peak with the longer ester. Dude, if they have an enanthate prop blend, which I haven't seen, but if they do, that would be better. Enanthate peaks higher, troughs lower than cypionate, comes with less bloating, easier to dial in. I think testosterone enanthate is a perfect middle ground. It's a perfect middle ground. And some individuals who don't want to try the fast acting stuff like cream or prop will do really good on testosterone enanthate. Yeah. For TRT, I think enanthate and prop win, and then enanthate, prop, and cream. You can dial them all in. I think those are just the best for TRT. For the mental energy side, just the energy side in the brain feels, prop wins. Prop beats everything, in my opinion. I feel the best on prop, on higher dose prop, like 280 a week. But you can make any of this work. But as far as the blends go, I guess we'll see. Master RC student is super chatting about BOGO not working at checkout. It works. If it isn't working, you're either not finding the you're not finding the slot to punch in the coupon code, which is very obvious, but people's eyes seem to miss it, or you're trying to purchase it with the wrong product. Yeah, it works. It literally works. I mean, I can run it right now at livecortex.com. We'll add Torque to my cart. Checkout. Yeah, and the code is set to expire on the 14th of October. Torquebogo. Apply. Yep, it added another bottle of Torque to my cart. So you're doing it wrong. Yeah, you're doing it wrong, or you did it wrong. It works. You know, it works. Did you type the code in wrong? Did you use capitals? Again, I'm very clear about that, especially on the videos as well. We're not capitalizing any of the words on the thing. All right, Ramiel. Okay, what clinic could I use to annotate or annotate? Brother, check your spelling. I don't know of any other clinics that carry prop, but I'm sure a lot of them do as well. I know Ryan Root's clinic will prescribe prop, and I don't know where they're getting it. So yeah, and their clinic is Hormones for Me, hormonesforme.com. So they will be able to prescribe you prop, and I might have to either start talking to Ryan about that or send more people his way, because now can't send people to Defy for prop. I've got to get to the bottom of why, you know, Empower is not making testosterone propionate. Once I do, then I can kind of decide what to do. Height and weight, I'm 5'9" and 3/4 without shoes, 5'10" and a half the shoes. Right now I'm probably 175. What do you think the ideal BMI? Not a huge fan of BMI. I don't know a whole lot about BMI, actually. Like, I don't know what numbers make sense. I just know I think everybody does, what's overweight, what isn't overweight, you know, and what looks good and what doesn't look good. Yeah, I'm like 175, I think, mostly muscle at this point. Simon Stone, for people who are susceptible to estrogen side effects such as gyno, could they run a SERM for 6 months, for example, until their body become accustomed to the E2 and then drop it? I don't know that running a SERM would get your body accustomed to the E2, because I think what this adjustment of the response to estradiol is a slight down regulation of alpha, estrogen receptor alpha, and estrogen receptor bravo receptors, whichever ones are more prevalent, especially as it relates to gyno and breast tissue, you'd want to look at. So if you're antagonizing those receptors, actually what antagonizing in neurophysiology, in neurology, when you antagonize a receptor, you upregulate it. The moment you stop antagonizing it, you effectively reach a state of upregulation. So that might not be a good idea, because the moment you stop antagonizing it, it might just upregulate, you know, whereas you agonize a receptor consistently, that leads to, well, downregulation of sorts. So you are better off not doing this. All you'd be doing by doing this strategy it's good in theory, is prolonging the eventual outcome of having negative effects from estradiol, which you've got to then get used to via agonism induced downregulation, which sucks to hear, I'm sure, but that's really what I would say about that, man. Yeah, I know that sucks to hear, but that's probably what I would do. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's again, also though, if you start TRT on cream or prop, you're going to have less, especially prop, you'll have less bloating. Yeah, less of that kind of estrogenic, like moon face like shit that goes on, water retention, all that sort of stuff. But, and also, look, I mean, you could hack this in a variety of ways. The water retention is both intracellular water retention induced by testosterone, but also it's arginine vasopressin going higher than your body's set point is used to, which is another name for antidiuretic hormone. And so if your antidiuretic hormone is pumped up higher than usual, just going to retain a bunch of water. But I mean, if you start looking into what drugs or supplements reduce vasopressin and start taking those, then I think you'll have a lot easier over time. If you can just reduce vasopressin or ADH, antidiuretic hormone, on, you know, TRT, you wouldn't need to run a SERM or any of that stuff, and you'd have a lot better over time. And then again, do everything you can do in the diet wise to not be retaining water. Like, don't drink a lot of alcohol. DRV13, does DHEA have any negative sides? Also, what would you coach someone who is natty or don't see the point? No, I definitely would. coach people that are natty, because there's a lot of things that we can do that still fall within the spectrum of natural testosterone modulation. Peptides to an extent, but specifically HCG. HCG is effectively natural. You still maintain the intracranial side of things. All that pretty much stays the same, and you have no heavy suppression. You might have some suppression on the brain side, but no heavy suppression on the brain side, like with TRT in the mix. So yeah, sure. DHEA doesn't have any side effects, but the hormones that it may create in the levels that may not be right for you will have side effects. Like if it just makes too much estrogen, that you'll have side effects. If it makes you make a lot of DHT, you might have some hair shedding. So it all really depends on the outcomes of DHEA, and what that might do. There's also transient side effects, usually with people that start DHEA, that go away within a couple weeks, or they go away with you managing your health. Like I got overstim and a little bit of head pressure. This head pressure thing has happened to me various times on different doses of testosterone and throughout TRT, and I think it's estrogen related. But then it tends to just go away. The healthier that I am, cardio that I'm doing, the better I'm eating. I don't get side effects with shit like this. So there'll probably be transient side effects if you take the dose high. As an example, 40 milligrams a day, 20 in the morning, 20 in the evening. Perfectly fine, no sides. But like at various points, if I had bumped it up to like 100 milligrams DHEA per day, I would get sides for 2 days, and then that would go away. And then I'd be used to the 100, and then I'd be fine. So I do see the point, and I coach probably 85% people on hormones, and then 15% people that aren't. So definitely. Does the testosterone cream use prop? No, it's just pure testosterone, I believe, with some sort of absorption stuff. I don't think there's no ester there. Madcap, currently on Proviron, HCG, and clomiphene and gonads are growing. However, boners are still a little weak. Does this mean estrogen is too high? A little too high. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's good that you have HCG in the picture, because at least you have some tests, but maybe you need to bump the HCG dose up to have the test dose up. Estrogen's too high. But if you're recovering from a sexual dysfunction syndrome, I mean, this might take a lot of time, even if you have the right protocol. And you might need to get some DHT gel, rub it on the shaft, and then use the Bathmate, which is a penis pump. I mean, this is what they give people that remove their prostate, have to have their prostates removed. And then they have sexual dysfunction. They give them vacuum pumping, in addition to Cialis and some other things like hopefully androgens, but, or in that case, maybe not because of the fucking prostate thing. But you might need to do actual penile rehab. You might need to get your hands on some actual DHT and run 5 to 25 or 50, whatever you find dose works for you, for a while. Endothelial optimization, which is like what you would need if a blood flow is a real problem in the penis via androgen deprivation for a long time. That takes a while. It's just like recovering a broken arm would take you 7 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever. Same is true for sexual dysfunction, especially blood flow optimization if you're trying to heal blood flow to an organ, to a sexual organ. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Your bloods will tell you the answer. Simon, are you still playing with oral DHT? I stopped doing that because I am using DHT gel. So I didn't really have a whole lot of experience with the oral DHT, but my experience is it's longer lasting, but more powerful. It's a big hit. So we get like pretty instant erections, and they'd be fucking insane. Regarding erections with ladies, that's really important to me. So whatever I'm doing, I'm optimizing it. Whatever testosterone dose I'm on, whatever I'm running a cycle. This is why it was so important to me when estrogen was high and boners were a problem for a period on this cycle, that I had to start using an aromatase inhibitor in this case. Also for experimentation purposes, I could have used Proviron or Primo or Masteron, but I haven't tried Masteron. I don't have a whole lot of experience with Primo, right? So the AI, but that's always very, very important to me. So regardless of what I'm doing, my erections are very fucking good for sex. They have to be. They have to be, because when I mean, when you can't please a woman because your erection isn't great, which happened to me in my early 30s, and I had sexual dysfunction, full on sexual dysfunction in my early 30s. it sucks for your manhood, but they're more worried about themselves. They're like, I didn't please the man. They think that they're not pretty enough or sexy enough or whatever, that they can't please you, and they end up feeling like fucking shit. Like fucking 3 or 4 times on TRT when I didn't have my estrogen right, mainly. I just didn't have my shit straight. I had like a climax issue like once with this girl. Her name was Amanda. So I could say her name because there's fucking a million Amandas in the United States. And she was just bent out of shape because I couldn't come. Like I just couldn't climax. One time. And then the next time, 3 days later, it was fixed because I'm like, I gotta fix this. So they get more out of shape, bent out of shape than anything. But I think it's very fucking important to have great erections for sex with women, because the difference, if you're sized reasonably well, between, a fucking super hard erection and not, is pretty massive for girls. Definitely. Opinion on Sanazol. I think, I think there are better ways. Listen, it's great as an anabolic agent, right? And it's good for drying you out and giving you that kind of dry, hard muscle look. But it fucking wrecks your joints, man. It really has a negative effect on estradiol, is what I think is happening here. Whereas, Proviron will give you somewhat of a similar, although much scaled down version of that dry, hard look, which to me is perfect. I'm not a bodybuilder though, so I don't know. You know what I mean? It's the bodybuilders might need to use this shit for that reason. I just think I've heard a lot of horror stories, and I've heard a lot of, joint problems. Now, look, you could add DECA, which sort of defeat the purpose on the E2 side. You could add these things, but then you're taking away from the dry, hard look you'd get from Winstrol. So I don't have a lot of experience personally using it, and I wouldn't want to use it, personally. But that might be a better question to ask for Vigorous Steven. No, I don't think that it's going to be exclusively helping libido, especially in the presence of not enough test and not enough estrogen. You would need all that stuff, for libido to be good. Okay. Sean Stevens, thoughts on dopamine supplements decreasing serotonin. Is this an issue with Nalt, Modafinil, Mucuna? I know that like P5P as an example synthesizes more dopamine, I believe is a 5-HT2 serotonin receptor antagonist. So these work, serotonin and dopamine do work in this inverse kind of way where like dopamine or like, dopamine kind of mutes serotonin to an extent, and serotonin activation definitely mutes dopamine, to a large extent, and sometimes a troublesome extent. So I don't see dopamine being like super antagonistic to serotonin as much as serotonin is antagonistic to dopamine. No, right? Like I've taken a lot of dopaminergics, and I've never had like mood disorders or any otherwise serotonergic thing happening, a negative serotonergic problem happening with a lot of dopamine. That said, if you were to non-judiciously dose a lot of dopamine stuff, then you might have some serotonin dysregulation after many months. But I think that would take a long time for that to happen. DRV13, I took finasteride for only a month a couple years ago, still experiencing sides. Thanks for being issue light. Your real channel has been very helpful. Great. I hope you watched the documentary. Again, this isn't uncommon, and you know what? It's less common, but it does happen, which is even more preposterous. Is some people take one pill of finasteride at one time and they have PFS for years. Like, how can you say it's just, that's fucking terrible. That's why I always give very stern warnings against the use of SSRIs and hair loss drugs, because the quality of life decline that happens quickly and for a long time is so substantial that it's all people can think about, and their lives are stopped. They can still go to work because they have to. They probably don't feel up for it. Make money, do that, but like no growth. You can't date if you've got dick problems, forget it. Your marriage might go to shit if you've got dick problems. It's just never worth it. Never, ever, ever worth it. All right. Last question here. How to maximize DHT conversion. Pinning 200 milligrams test P a week. Masteron 200 a week, 10% DHT cream. Your best way to upregulate 5-AR would be to use DHT. That's really the best, the cleanest, fastest route to upregulating the 5-alpha reductase enzymes. Specifically 5-AR2, which is in pubic skin, would be DHT. Yeah, if you have DHT, great. Maybe use more cream. If you can get your hands on actual powder DHT, that might be more effective, and you'd have to bolus it. I mean, this is just my professional opinion. I think you'd maybe bolus 30 to 50 milligrams, possibly 80 to 100 milligrams, if you can tolerate whatever side effects might come with that. Then I think you would have a dramatic upregulation in the ARs and DHT conversion. Yep. I don't know the extent to which Masteron would upregulate the ARs. I mean, a test does, but 200 milligrams a week test P. If you have an androgen receptor problem or a DHT conversion problem, 200 milligrams test prop a week probably wouldn't do it. You'd have to be running 500, 600. Then I think you'd get some upregulation of DHT conversion. Yeah, like I'll tell you, I had much more DHT on 700 of prop a week than I have on 525 of enanthate. Even if I went up to 700 of enanthate, the peaks are different. The prop peaks on 100 milligrams a day are like this. So you get a massive conversion to DHT then. And I noticed it in my hair. I noticed it in every other highly androgenic thing, tissue in my body, that high dose prop was really doing it. So DHT itself, maybe get your hands on some actual standalone powder. And if you're up for it, dose more prop. All right, boys, great questions. More content coming this week. We're back to a regular schedule of Monday and Wednesday with content. Surprise live stream in the week if I've got time to fit it in, then back to live streams on Saturday. Again, the Torque Stack is still buy one, get one free. We're moving a lot of it, and I'm liking how sales are going, so we're just kind of keeping it BOGO for now. It's the best deal ever. It's like Adderall without the side effects. All right. So all of you that are still watching, if you haven't tried this stack, this isn't a sales pitch. You're missing out. And it's buy one, get one free right now. Go get a bottle. I will see you guys Monday for content. So be there, be square, get ready for it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Try to take some time to enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, and take care of yourself, take care of your health. Don't go crazy overboard, but have a cheat meal if you need to. I might have one later today. And, epic questions, boys. Much more to talk about. The conversation never ends. Devil Dog, thanks for that super chat. Really appreciate it, bro. I'll talk to you guys super soon. All right. Later.